Good afternoon, participants. I am our resource person, Dr. N. Jayanti ma'am.
A very good afternoon, ma'am.
Am I Priya?
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Am I Priya? You can start now.
Yes, ma'am.
It gives me immense pleasure to introduce the resource person of Session 3, Dr. N. Jayanti ma'am, Associate Assistant Professor at the KPR Institute of Engineering and Technology. BE in EEE and ME in CSE, she has also got a PhD in Instrumentation and Controls Engineering. In her 16 years of academic experience, she worked at various institutions. She received copyrights for 3 software products. In addition, she also owns a patent. She has published around 11 journals and attended multitudes of conferences and career development programs. She has published 3 books and also established a research and consultancy cell for CSE department. Besides, she has organized 4 value-added courses. Today, we are really excited to acquire knowledge from such an illustrious person on the topic Kotlin functions. With much honor, I request you to take off the session, ma'am.
Thank you, Kavipriya. And good afternoon and welcome to this Atal online faculty development program on Kotlin. So now the session is, we are going to discuss about the functions. So functions are not only useful in keeping our code less messy. So in the case of large programs, you will also see that there are one of the core pillars of the programming that makes the development much easier. So as Kotlin is an alternate language for Java, while for developing the mobile application nowadays, uh, in those days, in last year and all, the internet programming was much concentrating on developing the mobile application by using the Java language. Now the officially declared language by Google, that is Kotlin. Nowadays, recent programming mobile programmers are they are utilizing this Kotlin language for developing the mobile application due to various reasons that and all we are going to discuss about in this session. Now I'll share my screen.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am?
Yes,
You
ma'am.
can
Yes,
now?
ma'am. Is it visible, ma'am? My screen?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now we are going to discuss about the functions in Kotlin language. So the agenda for the today's session is we are going to discuss about the main introduction about this Kotlin functions and what is the difference between the Kotlin language functions with the Java functions and the various syntax and its various types, and for each types we'll be discussing about a few examples. So this is the today's agenda for this presentation. As we all know that functions, we normally use these functions for performing some a group of tasks, so a group of related statements, and it's an instruction that do one specific task. So if you want to do a specific task multiple times, then these functions are opted. So we can call it any time, any number of times we can call this function. So the main advantage of using this function is the code reusability, as well as this divides the entire code of an application into the modular chunks, where we can easily identify or we can easily track the errors and we can modify the programs. So now it helps in reducing the size of the program as well. So these and all the general discussions about the functions. Now, this how this Kotlin functions that differs with Java function. That is, the Kotlin has some few additional support when we compare to the Java functions. So here in Kotlin, the custom control structures are possible by making use of the support called Lambda expressions with the usage with the inline functions. We are going to discuss about this in detail in the later. And then the another extensible feature that Kotlin supports is the extensions function that is not available with the Java. So now this is the major difference related to function concept when we compare to the Kotlin language with the Java language. Now, as we all know that the syntax, how it differs with the JavaScript, I think I hope majority of the faculty members are aware of the JavaScript, the function syntax and all. Now I'm going to just give you the difference, how the function definition or function declaration in Kotlin, how it differs with the JavaScript. So as you can see here, by using the keyword called fun. So in JavaScript, we'll be using function. So here in Kotlin, we are going to make use of the fun keyword for representing the function. Now here there is a function name. So this is the syntax for this function declaration, that is function keyword fun with the following with that name of the function and the list of arguments. This is what this same syntax what we can see in JavaScript. There is a little difference with that is here we are going to use this colon. After this colon, we are going to specify the return type of the function. Whereas in JavaScript, we'll be using the return type in the prefix of the name of the function.
Excuse me,
here, yes, sir.
Ma'am, we are visible only the first slide.
First slide. Oh, no, sir. Is it visible, sir, now?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, I hope you made it in presentation, I think.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please share that.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
Thank you.
I'll share the entire window, sir. Thank you. Sir, is it visible now?
Yes, ma'am. Now it is visible. Thank you, ma'am.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So here we can see that the fun keyword is followed by the name of the function along with the list of the arguments, and this is preceded by the return type will normally we can see in JavaScript in the prefix of the name of the function. But here in Kotlin, we are going to specify the return type after the arguments list along with this colon, separated by the colon. So this is the syntax of the function definition declaration in Kotlin language. So this is the only difference. And here for specifying the parameters, so normally we'll use the function usage is same. It is just similar to our JavaScript. In Kotlin also we are following the traditional approach by when we are going to call a function by name of the function, we are calling that function. In if it is a member function, then we'll be using the dot notation. So this is similar to your JavaScript as well. So in Kotlin language, the function usage is nowhere it differs. It is just similar to our JavaScript notation. So now coming to the parameters. So here we are going to make use of the, so for the functions, we are going to pass in arguments. So for that arguments, we call that as a parameters. The parameter for specifying the parameters will be using Pascal notation. That is, the Pascal notation is the name of the argument followed by colon and its type. So there are various data types, as you would have come across with the first session and the second session, the different data types, integers, strings. So those keywords will be giving under this type. So the name of the parameter followed by colon and the type of the parameter. If n number of parameters is going to be passed to the function, that parameters will be separated by using the comma operator, as we can see here in this syntax. So this is the parameter specification in Kotlin. So here this type represents the return type of the function. And coming to the arguments, so here there are some specific rules for this default arguments that is followed in Kotlin language. So normally we'll use this default arguments to reduce the number of overloads when we compare to the other languages. So here in Kotlin, how we can define the default arguments means in the function definition here in function declaration itself, here we can see by using the equal to operator, we are going to assign the default argument. So here in this syntax, we can see there is a function called read and it takes 3 arguments. One is the byte array, name is B, the parameter name is B, and the parameter name is of, and it is of the integer type. Now it has been assigned a default value 0. Whenever we are not specifying any arguments while calling a function, this default value will be taken to this parameter. So similarly, the len is a parameter name and it is of the integer type that is assigned with the size of this array as a default value. So here this is the syntax for defining the default arguments in Kotlin functions. So here there is a one restrictions in Kotlin default arguments, that is overriding methods will always use the same default parameters values as the base method. We can't give the different value for when we are using this overriding the methods. Say for example, here there is a class A. So in this class A, we have the function called foo, and it has been assigned with the default, the integer value as 10. Now the class B is a overridden class from A, and the overridden function, now we are not specifying any default argument. Here the I will make use of the default argument of the base class. So here no default value is allowed in overridden method. This is another constraint related to the default arguments in Kotlin functions. So now coming to the named arguments, why we go for this named arguments means now in a function we are passing multiple parameters. So for each parameter, while calling a function, we'll be providing the parameter values while calling in a calling statement. So in that statement, if it is the function definition is having n number of parameters, it is very difficult to associate a value with an argument. So this named argument concept in Kotlin is used to overcome that difficulty. So here as well, we can freely change the order of the parameters that are listed in the function declaration. Say for example, here there is a function called reformat. It takes four arguments. The first argument is the string, and the second one is the Boolean variable, and the third one is also the Boolean, and the fourth one is the character. So these are the 4 arguments that are used by the function called reformat. So here then through this named arguments, we can have this flexibility in the Kotlin language, that is don't have to name all its arguments. Say for example, while calling this function reformat, I'm giving the first value for the first parameter, the second value. Now in the third parameter, if you see, I'm using the named argument. Named argument means by using the parameter name and with the value in the calling function. That is called as the named argument. So here in the third parameter, I am using the named argument concept. That is, here we can see uppercase first letter is the parameter name, and that parameter name is assigned with the value false value. This is one way. It indicates that no need to specify all the arguments. It is not necessary. We can skip as well. Here, we can skip all the arguments with default values as well, since we are using this named argument supports. So here we can call this function by supplying only one argument, because all the other three parameters, that is normalized case, uppercase first letter and word separator, are using the default value. So it is no need, we can skip all these arguments while calling a function. And coming to this, one important difference between the Kotlin language and the Java language is the Kotlin supports the null value usage. So here, in order to facilitate that, here in Kotlin functions, we are using the keyword return type as unit. It refers to nothing, no data type at all. So unit is just like similar to our null value. If a function does not return any useful value, by default, it returns the type as unit. Unit is the type with only one value called unit itself. So here it means that if the function, for all the function will end with the return statement at the end, or else it will print the results and it will come to the main function. When we are calling a function, the function will do its necessary task and it will print the result there itself, or otherwise it will have the last statement as return statement if it has to return some values to the calling function. So here in Kotlin, no need to have the explicit return statement, because this Kotlin function by default, it will return the default return value of any function. If we are not specifying anything return explicitly, then it will make use of the type called unit type. So here we can see here in type declaration also, in function declaration, the function fun keyword followed by the function name print hello, and its argument is there. Now we can see here in this red color will indicate in between this gap we must have the return type of the function. But here we are not specifying anything the return type, because this is possible in Kotlin only because of this unit returning function support. So this is an example that indicates here at the end, you can see no return statement is there for this print hello function, even if the return type is specified as the unit. So return is an optional case, whereas in JavaScript and all, we must, if any function is having any return type, we must specify the return statement as the end of the function definitions.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Ma'am, I exactly not get that why there is a question mark after string. What is the use of that?
So just that is, we can give any number of string arguments, sir. Here the string will have different, say for example, if I'm passing A, B, C characters, different characters in a string, different set of characters.
Okay.
So at that time I'll be using this question mark. So this and all will be discussed under the data types and the syntax, sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Shall I proceed, sir? Next.
Yeah, yes. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, sir. So here, the next one is, the next support in Kotlin function is single expression functions. Here the single expression function is just similar to our in C language, or we'll be using some question mark and to specify either true or false, that is colon. So likewise here in single expression function, the body of the function will be specified in the declaration itself. That is single expression function. Kotlin supports this single expression function. So here we can omit the curly braces for that, and the body is specified after a equal to symbol. Say for example, there is a function called double. It is having one parameter x. It is of the integer type. Now the return type is integer. Now we can see the body of the function immediately without having the curly braces, because it is the syntax for defining the functions in Kotlin. Here we can omit that curly braces. Instead of curly braces, that indicates the start of the function body, we can omit it in we can use equal to symbol, and we can have that expression. This single expression is supported only for the single statement. If it is having multi-line statement, the single expression function we can't use in Kotlin. So the Kotlin will support only single expression statements that are found in a body of a function. Then we can opt for this single expression function type. So here explicitly declaring the return type is also optional in single expression function. See here in this definition, the return type integer is specified in previous case. We can also omit that return type, because explicitly this expression is going to give you the result. That result will be taken considered for the return type of the particular function. So this is possible by using this single expression functions. Now coming to the other support functionality in the Kotlin function is providing a variable number of arguments. So here there is a keyword called var args. So by using this var args, we can specify the variable number of arguments while in the function definition as well as the function declaration. So how it is possible means by using an operator called spread operator. Here the star asterisk indicates the operator name is called as the spread operator. So here the spread operator is used to specify the variable number of arguments. Say for example, there is a function called foo. Here the string is a variable argument. Now it is preceded by the keyword called var arg. This will indicate the string parameter is consisting of multiple arguments. It is of the type string data type. Now how to supply this argument means by using this spread operator in function call. So this is the function call statement for specifying that variable number of arguments. Say for example, the foo function name is called by passing the argument strings. Here we can see this star symbol, that is spread operator, followed by array of. So you would have come across this array syntax in the morning session. So we are going to give a, B, C. There are three multiple arguments, or we are going to pass this multiple arguments to the same common parameter by using this spread operator, as well by using this keyword var args. This is supported in Kotlin functions. Whereas I think this we can't see in our JavaScript. This is another special feature. Coming to the generic functions, so we would have come across in C++ and all the templates. That is, while calling a function, or during the runtime only, we will be able to define a type of an argument. Then we'll be using some templates, right? So similar to that, in Kotlin function, we are using the concept called generic function, where it will have the data type implicit based upon the function process. That is the statements given in the function definitions. So here the generic parameters or nothing, it will be specified using the angle brackets before the function name. See here the function name is single to n list. It is preceded by the angle brackets with the letter T, and the T is the argument parameter, and this is the return type. So this is the way we will specify for generic function. This is the syntax for specifying the generic functions. Now, so far we have been discussing about the different forms of functions and the support of the function concepts in the Kotlin. Now we are going to discuss about the different types of functions that are supported in Kotlin language. Basically, the functions are, there are basically it is divided into two types only, that is standard library function and user defined function, that as in the case of JavaScript as well. Now here the other types of functions comes under this member functions, inline functions, local functions, and lambda functions. So we have seen in the previous slide, in the second slide of this presentation, I've already indicated the difference between the Kotlin functions with the Java functions. So here comes the other type of the function, that is inline functions and lambda functions. By using this, we can have the flexible control structure in the Kotlin languages. That is what we are going to discuss now. Now these are the some of the set of, as we are already familiar with these two types of functions, that is standard library function and user defined functions. So the standard library functions are the functions which are already it is just like a library function. It is already defined and we'll be calling the name of the function in our program. Say for example, these are the some of the standard library functions supported in Kotlin. Print, it will print the message to the output. Println. So these are some of the library functions that are declared as a standard library function, where the programmer need not write the functions of that particular operation. Statements that does not require any statements, because it's already predefined and it is stored in the library, and it is enough if we call that function. And coming to the user defined functions, we have already we have seen one syntax of function definition that comes under the user defined functions. So these are the types of functions which are defined and declared by the users, that is the programmers. So the syntax is same what we have discussed earlier. It uses the fun keyword followed by the function name and parameters, list of parameters, colon, and the return type. Now coming to the member functions concept. So here the member functions are the functions that are defined inside a class or object or with the interface. So these are class objects. Since Kotlin is going to support both object oriented as well as the structured programming concept, here the member functions are related to the object oriented programming concept. So we can define these members functions either inside a class, or we can associate it with an object or with an interface. So these are used to take modularization into the next level, the member function. Say for example, there is a class called sample. Inside the sample, we have a function called foo, and this foo function will print the string called foo. So this is the syntax. This is as in the case of JavaScript as well. The functions which are defined inside the class, we call it as a member functions. So here And now here we can see the sample dot foo. This what it will do is it will create the instance of the sample, and through that instance, that is object, and through that object we are calling this member function foo. So this is about the member functions. Now coming to the important function type, that is inline Kotlin functions. So inline Kotlin functions, this also available in JavaScript as well. So the main aim of using this inline Kotlin functions is it will be the when it will tells the compiler to copy those parameters and the functions to the call site itself. Normally, how the functions will execute, whenever we call the function, the compiler will go to the function definitions, and it will execute that process, and it will return back to the calling statement. This will be the normal procedure. But whereas when we are using this inline Kotlin functions, here that whenever you call that function, immediately the compiler will replace there itself the statements which are defined inside that function in the code itself. It will have the sequence of code statements there itself, and it will execute. It means that it is going to copy all the parameters and the function statements to the place where that particular function is called. So here there is one restriction in the Kotlin, that the inline keyword. So how we can define a function as an inline means either by declaring a function inside the main function or by using the inline keyword. So here this inline Kotlin functions, there is one restriction, that is virtual functions or local function can't be declared as inline in Kotlin. So here we can see one example, that is there is a function main. Inside that function I have the value called, that is sum. Sum is a function where it will take two arguments and it will add the value. This is called as a lambda function, we'll be discussing later. So this is an inline statement. So the function definition you can see in the main function itself. So this function is also called as inline function. The another variant is by using the keyword called inline. So here in this example, we can see that inline keyword is preceded by the fun keyword. This will indicate this inline function. Whenever this inline function is called in main function, so the output of this program, how it will be executed is, first the inline function is called. So here it will print this calling inline function, and then code inside inline function will be printed. How it happens? Because now since it is an inline, these statements, this function statements are here it is replaced. That is, here itself it will copy all those statements in the main statements. That's why normally in other case of function which is not inline, the output of this program will be first the function call will be executed. So when function call is executed, the code inside inline function will be the first print statement. After that only, when it returns to the main function, it will print the calling inline function. But whereas here, since it is an inline function, first it will execute this sequence of statements in the same sequence, that is inline. Here it will print this calling inline function first, and then it will print the code inside inline function.
Ma'am, why we are calling my fun here? What is the purpose of my fun?
Ma'am, my fun is an argument for this inline function.
Okay.
Calling
inline function, which
yes,
is the value. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. My fun is passed here. I'm passing this. We call it as a super function. We'll be discussing later. That is higher order function. We call it as an higher order function. Wherever instead of passing on ordinary arguments like integer string, we can pass a function also as an argument to the functions in Kotlin.
Okay.
Okay.
Ma'am, would you please
Yes, sir.
explain once again with what is the sequence, which print message prints first?
Sir, in normal function execution in JavaScript and all, how it will take the execution is whenever we are calling a function, immediately the control will be transferred from the main function, main program to the function call. So here the print statement will be code inside inline function will be first printed, and then when it is returning to the main function, it will print the next statement calling inline function. Okay, so this is the normal function execution. Whereas if the function is preceded by the inline, since we are replacing this function call with the statements of that function, so now how it will print is, this will be the first statement in that inline function. That is function call. It is having an argument called println calling inline function, right, sir? So this will be first printed. Calling inline function will be first printed, and then it will print code inside inline function.
Okay, so first is calling inline functions printed and then
Code inside inline function. This is inline function concept. If it is an ordinary function, first it will print code inside inline function statement, and then it will print calling inline functions.
Okay,
Because there is a function call and return control over to the main function. That's why.
Yes, and in above line, in main,
Yes, sir.
where we are writing inline function,
Yes, sir.
inside the bracket, that curly braces, whatever we are writing,
Yes, sir.
it's an argument of the function?
No, sir. It's a yes, sir. It's an argument we are passing to the inline function. So that will be assigned to this my function, and that will be the first statement inside this my function.
Okay, okay. That argument will be assigned in my function.
My function. Because it is going to replay, it is going to copy all the statements there itself in the function call itself.
Okay, okay. If there is a normal argument, means
yes, sir.
Not the function argument, then is there a curly braces in when we are passing the argument or not?
No, sir. Since this is an the argument for this inline function is a function itself, we are defining in a curly bracket.
Okay, okay. Get it.
Oh,
get it.
okay,
Thank you.
sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, ma'am. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Ma'am, I have one question that we are using the unit.
Yes, sir.
As you said that it represents the null value.
Yes, sir.
My question is unit a keyword or it's just a normal name?
Sir, it is just like our type, integer. We'll be declaring an integer by int. Similar to that, here in Kotlin, we have a keyword that is it's a keyword only. It's a keyword like in unit.
Okay. And ma'am, in one example, you have taken the function name as double, but double is also a data type like float. So can we use the data type name as a function name?
No, sir. No. We should not use it.
Okay.
The reserved words, we should not use it as a function names.
But in one example, you have used that, so that was my question.
Okay, sir. Sorry. I will correct it, sir.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Now coming to the local function concepts. So here, whenever we are defining one function, it is just like a multiple functions inside another function. That is, function inside another function is called as a local function. So here there is an outer function called outer function. There is one parameter. Inside this function, I am defining one more function called local function. So this local function will first execute, and it will make use of all the parameters that are declared in this outer function as well. So that the parameters, we call it as a local parameters. and this is the concept called local functions. So local function is if we are defining multiple functions inside another function. That is called as local function. This is also supported in Kotlin. Coming to the higher order function, before going to the lambda functions type, we must know what is this higher order functions, lambda expressions, and function types. So higher order functions is nothing but whenever a function, any function that takes functions as parameters or returns a function, then we call that particular function as an higher order functions. So here, how it is possible means we are going to store that function either in a variable or in a data structure, and that variable or the data structure can be passed as an argument to, or it can be returned from other higher order function. We can specify one function as a return type also for the higher order functions. So here, how it is supported in Kotlin means Kotlin uses this family of function types. It means it represents the function itself, but it provides a set of specialized language constructs such as lambda expressions. So that is anonymous function. We call that as an anonymous function or lambda. By using this anonymous function or lambda expression, this function types are used. So by using this concept only, we can have this higher order function concept in Kotlin. So coming before going to this is the lambda function. So how the lambda function, the syntax, before going into the definition of lambda function, we have to be familiar with some notations. So I would like to represent that. So say for example, a bracket is having two arguments, a comma b, and it is followed by an arrow operator, and we have one more argument c. Here what it indicates is a and b are the two arguments of the function, and it is going to return the type called c. The return type is preceded by the arrow operator. So this is the notation that we are going to use in defining the syntax of the lambda functions. So here this can be have null parameter as well. So as in the indicated in the second point, the parameter type list may be empty also. It means that function, lambda function, will not have any parameter, but it will return a data type. Let it be a. Now here how it can be accessed. The another type is another notation that we have to be familiar with this defining lambda function is having a receiver type. It means if this is the notation is available in the program, it indicates that a is an object of a class followed by the dot notation, and it will have the argument b. That function will have the argument b, and it is going to return the variable called value called c. So this is the notation, three notations we have to be know in order to define the lambda function. So it is a lambda function is a high level function. It means high level function in Kotlin means the lambda function can be passed as an argument. So it's an higher order function concept. Before going to that, once again, we are going to see about that, as I already told you, that lambda expressions and anonymous functions only. By using these two things only, the Kotlin is going to support the higher order functions. So how it is, we normally call these two combinations as by the main word called function literals in Kotlin. In Kotlin, function literal means it's nothing but we are by using a lambda expressions and the anonymous functions. These are called as a function literals. So here the function literals is having some syntax to be followed. It means that are not declared. We are not going to declare. straight away we are going to define it. Whenever we are defining a function without any declaration, that is not supported in a Java language and all, but here in Kotlin, now it is supported through by the concept called function literals. We are not going to declare any function, but we are going to pass immediately as an expression. The statements will be passed as an expression. Say for example, there is an example called the function called maximum. It will take two arguments. One is the string. Another argument, you can see it is having an expression which is denoted in curly bracket. So that is A and B are the two arguments that is going to return. It is going to return a Boolean function. A dot length is less than B dot length. It's going to return a Boolean value to this function. So that will be the second argument for this function called max. So here we are not going to declare any argument. So this is different syntax. We call this as a function literals. So here the function value as the second argument. So the function which is going to return a Boolean value will be the second argument in this case. And the second argument is an expression that is itself a function literal equivalently. So for a equivalent function is given below here. You can see the fun keyword. It is going to compare a two string, A string and B string. It is going to return a Boolean variable. Instead of having this function declaration, straight away we are going to use the entire string as an expression itself. And that expression itself is going to act as an argument for a function. This is called as function literals. And coming to the anonymous function, what it means is the return type can be inferred automatically. It means the while evaluating any expression, it is going to give you one result. That result data type will be implicit, and it will be the implicit return type. That particular type of functions, we call it as an anonymous function. So here, in order to define this anonymous functions, we are having an syntax where that's the only difference the defined functions with the anonymous function. Whereas user defined function, the fun keyword will be followed by the function name. Here in this example, you can see there is no function name at all. The fun keyword is followed by two arguments, and the return type is an integer. It is going to have the value that is evaluated by this addition operation, that is x and y. The value will be returned here. The other way we can define this anonymous function is that is ended curly brackets. This is the another way we can define this anonymous function. That is nothing but inside the curly bracket, this equivalent symbol is replaced by curly brackets. That's it. So these are the syntax that is followed to define an anonymous function. Now coming to the lambda function. Before going to that lambda function, as we all know that expression, lambda expression syntax, so it is just similar to our JavaScript as well. So here there is a function name called sum. Here we are representing it as a variable value, that is sum, is followed by no function name you can see, and here the parameters are, here we can see that parameter name is also missing. Only we have that type alone. This sum is going to have two parameters, that is of the integer type, and it is going to return an integer which is evaluated by this expression, that is sum expression. So it is nothing but adding two numbers. So while defining a function, we'll be using the user defined function syntax in order to find the sum of the two numbers. So entire statements we are going, it will have 4 to 5 statements if you are going to implement in user defined function, whereas we can express the same 4 statements can be replaced in a single statement like this, and this expression is called as an lambda expression. So the rules followed here for defining a lambda expression is, a lambda expression is always surrounded by curly braces. So here we can see the curly braces. This is called as an lambda expression. And parameter declaration is the full syntactic form, go inside curly braces and have optional type annotation. Optional type annotation. So here we can see the parameters. X is a parameter, that is of the integer. You can leave this as well. X, no parameter name. So you can see here. So here the body goes after the arrow sign. That is, after this arrow, the entire statement what we can see is the body of that function. So if the inferred return type of the lambda is not unit, then the last expression inside the lambda body is treated as the return value. So the last expression of the lambda expression, now here x plus y, if we supply float value, the return type will be float, but here we are having an integer data type. So this int data type can be replaced by unit data type. If we declare this by replacing this int with unit keyword, then we can supply any data type to this x and y. That return value, that addition of that particular value will result in that particular data type. So that is, these are the information related to defining a lambda expression. Now coming to the lambda function. Lambda function, the definition for this is, it's a function which has no name at all, just similar to your anonymous function. So the anonymous function doesn't have the function name. As well, the syntax followed for defining this lambda function is the variables. Here it starts with the curly bracket and the list of variables followed by the arrow operator and then the body of the function. And the lambda x function is, it is going to make use of the lambda expression types. It means that it is going to start with a curly bracket and it is going to end with a curly bracket. So here a sample example is given how to define a lambda function. So here we can see here there is a function main. Inside this function main, I am declaring my function lambda. This is a lambda function. And it is going to have these are the parameters, variables. The arrow operator, whatever the thing preceded by the arrow operator, it will be considered as the variables for the lambda function. And after that arrow operator, you have the body of the function. That is, it is going to return a unit data type. And here, what will be the output of this example? So here I am calling my function lambda by using the variable v. The variable v is having the educba.com. So that value will be printed here, because this function is going to have this variable and this variable will be passed here and this is going to print that. So this is the another way of lambda function. So we can pass this lambda functions as a parameter also, which in turn supports the high-level functions. So here in this example, we can see that lambda function, we have the same thing, my lambda, there is a lambda function. This my lambda function is passed as an argument to this add numbers function. Now this add number function is called as an high-level function, because it is going to make use of another function as a third argument, which is of the type lambda function. So here add numbers, here the two variables we can see a and b, and here we can see that my lambda function definition. So inside this we are going to add that a and b, and here the my lambda function will take this argument, added a and b value, and it will going to return. This is what it is going to print, that particular thing. So this is about the lambda functions and high-level function support in Kotlin language. As we all know that another type of function called recursive functions, it is just similar to our JavaScript as well. That is, the recursive functions are a function which calls itself continuously. The syntax is same. So here, instead of function, here fun keyword is used, one function name is used, the same function is called inside the same function. So that is called as a recursive function. There is another support in Kotlin called Kotlin tail regression. What it means is, Kotlin tail regression, normally how the recursive functions will execute. So whenever, if we are calling a recursive function, say for example, factorial of 2 itself, it will be called for 3 times, and it will, the last call statement value will be returned to the previous call statements. That is the normal recursive function concept. Whereas in Kotlin tail regression, where we are going to make use of this Kotlin tail regression concept means, if you are using, say for example, I want to find a factorial of a 10,000 or 1 lakh number, then how it is possible? That is, it is going to throw an error, java.lang.object.error in JavaScript, because it is not going to support such a long recursive call in JavaScript. So here, but whereas in Kotlin, it is possible by using the concept called tail regression. It means the operation will be performed first and then the calls will be performed. It means the compiler is unable to call large number of recursive function calls. So the tail regression is a regression which performs the calculation first, then makes the recursive call. This is how it is possible, but we can see with one example here. So how this tail regression is specified in Kotlin means by using the keyword called tail rec. This is the keyword we are going to use, that is, it's a modifier we are going to use before the recursive function name. See here in this example, if we are using this 1 lakh time, we are going to call a function with that number. We are going to add a number, 1 lakh numbers, 1 plus 2 plus, again that result has to be added with 3, like that 1 lakh. How many recursive function? If we execute the same function in JavaScript, it will throw an error, compilation error. Now that can be handled with the tail regression concept. By using this, what it will do is, first it will compute the function, that is operation first, it will calculate everything and then only it will get into the recursive call. Mathematical background process will support, nowadays the fast responsive processor is supporting the execution with a nanosecond. So in background first it will do all set of calculations and then only it will return back with the calls. Now coming to the another concept of functions, that is extension function. So what is this extension function means? If you want to add a new methods to already existing class without inheriting a class or using any type of design pattern. So this is possible by means of using the concept called extension function. Normally, when we are going to add anything, we'll be modifying the code and we'll be including or deleting some functions inside that class. But without inheriting any class, it is possible to add a methods to the class through the concept called extension function in Kotlin. The syntax is, it will have a receiver type. It means the object. That's it. That is the class name. Here, this is the syntax followed to define an extension function. That is the fun keyword. Again, you can see there is no function name. So it is an anonymous function. There is no function name at all. Here we'll be defining a class name dot that particular method name. So here is an example where there is a class called student. Inside that student class, already we have a function called isPassed. Now I want to add another function which test whether that student is excellent or not. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do is, now here we can see that that class is ended with this member function isPassed. Another member function isExcellent is added to this class. How means by using this statement syntax. We can see here the fun keyword is followed by the class name. What is this class name? The class name is the student. So the student dot operator, and it is followed by the member, another member function. That is what we are going to add it to the existing class. So this is the syntax followed, and this isExcellent function is called as an extension function for the class student. Where in which scenario we'll be using this extension function means, suppose already defined proprietary functions and all is there, where you no need to modify anything with that, then we can add it separately as an extension function. There is a spelling mistake here, sorry for that inconvenience. A function itself. And hope these are the references which I referred in order to have this Kotlin functions. And I think I have so in this session we have seen what is how to define a Kotlin functions and what are the different supports that are rendered by the Kotlin language when we compare to the Java language, and different function types and its syntax with the examples. If you have any queries.
Ma'am.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon, ma'am.
Thank
I
you.
have a small query.
Yes, sir.
Can I say that whether this particular functions, whatever the syntax you represented,
Yes, sir.
shall I adopt the syntaxes from Pascal?
Pascal, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. We can have that. That too. Pascal syntax is also the similar one. Less slight variation is there. We have to check with that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, sir.
Ma'am, is there any difference between anonymous function and lambda function, or both are same?
Sir, both are the same thing. The anonymous function means any function without the function name, we can say it as a anonymous function. But whereas in lambda function, we'll be using only the expression type of statements inside the function definition. That is the only difference with the all functions can't be the lambda functions. All anonymous functions can't be say as a lambda functions, but all lambda functions can be considered as an anonymous functions.
Okay. Okay. And just asking from the curiosity.
Yes, sir.
Is there any reason behind keeping the name lambda?
Why? Lambda.
Because lambda is a scientific symbol, right?
Yes, sir. So in mathematical notation, lambda notation we are using now, sir. Since here all the statements are of the expression types, we are using that name as a lambda.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Any queries, sir?
Ma'am,
Yes, sir.
are we going to see practically this lambda function in Android Kotlin implementation in future session?
Yes, sir. Sure, sir. We can see, sir. In Android Studio, Intel JI IDE, there are Kotlin workbooks also available online. There we can also execute and run the code, and we can see the output also, sir.
Okay.
Any other questions, sir? Ma'am,
Yeah.
shall I yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon,
Ma'am,
sir.
when we are defining the named arguments, ma'am, in the function,
Yes, sir.
we are ending the arguments or the parameters with comma, ma'am. Is there any significance for that, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Because that is the syntax defined in Kotlin language, sir. Because we'll be specifying the argument value while calling a function. So there we need not follow the order what we have defined in declaration, the list, the same list. In order to support that, we'll be specifying that comma delimiter.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Any other queries to ask gentlemen?
Viveka ma'am, shall I conclude, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Let me ask once again, ma'am. Participants
Sure.
are having any queries? Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, please kindly share your PPT through
Sure,
mail,
ma'am.
so that I can able to share with my participants.
Sure, ma'am. Sure. First, I would like to thank for the wonderful opportunity given to me. First, I need to thank Jayaraman sir and yourself, Viveka ma'am. Thank you for this opportunity. And writing your own functions to reuse in your code and using the standard library function will definitely will help you greatly in your programming career. Wish you all the best for your programming careers.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, how this language is suitable for data science or analytics, ma'am? Can you give a answer for that?
Sir, here data science and we'll be using some same wherever we are using this JavaScript, you can replace that with the Kotlin language script, sir. So normally we'll be using JavaScript for doing some expression evaluations and all. For in algorithm redefining your own algorithms, you will be using some mathematical notations, regressions and all. So that can be in JavaScript, you will be using some predefined mathematical library functions. The same functions are supported in Kotlin language too.
Okay. Actually, what we face the problem over JavaScript means it's easy to hackable.
Yes, sir.
Of course, in the same futures is rectified over Kotlin or will be the same, ma'am?
No, sir. Here, the main thing, the major difference between Kotlin and JavaScript is that during compile time, JavaScript will throw many errors if it is having in compile time. Right, sir? The same thing, is it possible to handle a compile time error through the code, sir, in JavaScript? I think it is not
Actually, for
possible.
JavaScript, we are using a parser over the browser, right?
Yes, sir. JVM will be using.
Yes.
The same JVM, the Kotlin code will also run. Here, we can handle the compile time error efficiently when we compare to the JavaScript compile time error.
Okay, ma'am. Fine. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Any other? Okay, ma'am. I would like to thank Dr. N. Jayanti ma'am for her wonderful session. So participants, if you are having any queries, you can ask her.
You can use my mail ID. If you have any queries, you can ping my mail to my mail.
Participants, kindly note it down. Okay, ma'am, let us conclude this session. So
Yes,
thank you,
ma'am.
ma'am. Thank you once again.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Hello, ma'am.
Thank
There
you.
is
Yes, sir.
query regarding the attendance, ma'am. We can't find out any participation ID in the Atal login website, ma'am.
Sir, you can
Uh,
enter your login in your Atal registration ID using your
I
Atal
can
registration.
enter the login through only mail ID, ma'am. But the your field is accepting only numbers.
Sir, yes, sir, but in your page, that is in your Atal page, you are having an ID. Suppose
There
if you
is
are not
no.
having your ID, I will share you, sir.
Okay, ma'am. But I can't get it any ID in the Atal page for all the. I have checked with all the links, ma'am. But I didn't get any ID, ma'am.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. I will share your ID, sir. So all the participants'
Okay, ma'am. Thank
ID
you.
and I will share.
Thank you.
Ma'am,
Okay, thank
please
you.
share all the participants' ID, ma'am.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. I will post in our WhatsApp group, sir.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank
And also the attendance link, ma'am. Attendance link, ma'am.
Okay, sir. Attendance link also I will share through WhatsApp, sir.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.